So this is part 2. This is talking about what the health, okay? The heatings came on in here whilst I've been sat here. This is, like, I've just done the first video on Fed Up, and the heatings came on and I feel like I've got a tan. I don't know whether it looks like I've got a tan just from the heating coming on, but I also had my hair cut today, although it doesn't look like. Right, anyway, what the health. So this is about a documentary that I watched called What the Health, okay? I'll make sure this is a little bit shorter than the last one, although I kind of struggle when it comes to ranting and I have to go on with myself. So What the Health I watched, and a few people that I've spoken to have watched it, and they've made a decision to, I'll say, change what they're eating and how they look at things, okay? So first of all, they start talking about processed food, and they start talking about how bad processed food is for you, and what's in it and why you shouldn't eat it and whatever else. Now fair dues, I can agree with that. Now what they do say, which I was a little bit thingy about, is how there are actually carcinogenics in processed food. Now carcinogenics are what they call, like, what would you call it? Like cancer inhibitors, I suppose. So something that brings on cancer, right? Okay. Which shocked me anyway, massively. And they started looking into different processed foods, and they're trying to say, or they're certainly suggesting, that there are grade 1 carcinogenics in processed foods. Now a grade 1 carcinogenic is something like a cigarette, something that they would say is really likely to cause cancer, right? Okay. So I watched that and I thought, you know what, fair dues, if they're trying to scare people away from eating processed foods, I can agree with that, because let's be honest, a processed food, say for argument, take a chicken korma and you picked it up from, I don't know, let's go somewhere like Iceland or Aldi, and you're talking £1.50 for a chicken korma, which apparently has got chicken in it, which we're all led to believe is good for us. And it is quite an expensive meat. Obviously the korma, which is, let's be honest, is probably just going to be a sauce, and the rice, and you think, how can they make a meal and make profit on it? Because let's be honest, that's what it's all about, profit, and make profit on it if they're only selling it for £1. Like, what can possibly be in it to make it taste good? Because it certainly can't be 100% grade A chicken. And I'd imagine the sauce isn't exactly made from fresh herbs. So yeah, you like to think what's in it. And then also there's the fact that it can sit on the shelf for so many, for so many. I've just got a text off H, that's why I'm looking up, saying, why have you started videoing again? I just went up, believe it or not, she was meditating upstairs on the bed. Freaked me out, I thought she'd been possessed. We've started, we went to our first, what's it called now? We went to our first hypnobirthing session the other day, for, obviously, Helen's going to get ready for when she has the baby, and she wants to do hypnobirthing, and they talk about hypnosis and whatever else, so we're like fully getting into that. So she's obviously just having a try of it upstairs, but it was a bit creepy. She had like dim lights and she was sat on the bed like she was possessed. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to have to make this short now because the boss has spoken. But it goes on about that, and if it's got things in it that can keep it edible for such a long time, it does make you wonder how fresh things are in there. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, great. We'll stay away from that. It then goes on to talk about heart disease and how 17 million people die a year from cardiovascular disease. Okay, the main causes being like heart attacks, heart failure, angina, strokes, things like that. Are you back downstairs now? Okay, I'll be in now, I'll be quick as. And yeah, and they talk about that. And they go on to say, bearing in mind Fed Up that I've just watched and that I've just spoke about, is all about the sugar causing obesity and whatever else. They go on to say heart disease is not caused by sugar, and that it is caused by dead meat bacteria toxins. So then I think, hold on, where are they going with this? I thought they were just promoting not eating processed foods. So they say not to eat meat and to stay away. They actually say, so instead of eating red meat, should they eat chicken? And the guy's response is, it depends whether you want to be hung or shot. So I was thinking, hold on, maybe they're not talking about staying away from processed foods, maybe they're actually vegetarians. So I watches it, and they start talking about, first of all, about chicken and how you should never eat chicken, and how if they could, they would take poultry out of this is obviously in America, out of their diet. So, and they talk about the fact that it's pumped with so much sodium. Now, in all fairness, if the one thing that I've got to worry about is sodium, which is salt, and I want to eat that little bit more chicken than others, I would look at, first of all, how it was cooked, and secondly, I'd look at the fact that I can address it elsewhere in my diet. So I can have a chicken fillet, and basically what they're saying is a normal chicken fillet should have around 75 maybe milligrams of sodium, and when it's pumped with water and salt to make it a bigger fillet and make it more, obviously they can sell it for more money and it'll taste better because it's got more salt in and whatever else, it goes up to around 400 milligrams. So fair dues, if I'm going to have more chicken in my diet, I will just make sure that A, I didn't season it, and B, I addressed my salt intake elsewhere to try and make that little bit of a compensation. Because let's be honest, it's about balance. It's about taking in good foods, or certainly as good as you can, and where you are going to decide, you know what, I'm going to have a chocolate bar today or whatever, it's about moderation. You can have one chocolate bar today, a couple of days down the line, maybe having a coffee and feel like another one. But when you decide you're going to start having a chocolate bar, and for argument's sake, something like a bottle of Lucozade every single day, then yeah, of course, it's going to start adding up, and that's when you're going to then see that. So they speak about chicken first. They then go on to beef, right? Okay, so then I think, right, what are they talking about here? And they talk about farmed beef and farmed pigs and whatever else, cows, pigs, whatever. And they talk about the foods and the hormones that these animals are given, basically on the cheap, to still make them grow enough to be able to sell and make decent money. So for fair dues, that they're trying to steer you then away from having like battery chickens and whatever else, and maybe they're talking about you should only have free range. They then start talking about free range and how the fact that there's nowhere that's in a far enough away from power plants, which apparently power plants, let me just make sure I've got the right word, yeah, dioxins, apparently power plants are giving out certain dioxins, and those dioxins, you can be around for up to 14 years before your body will start absorbing them. However, they settle on the grass, the cow eats the grass, and straight away it goes into the cow's meat, and straight away it goes into the cow's blood. And apparently a man can't get rid of dioxins, a woman can, but only by getting pregnant and either breastfeeding, but getting pregnant and the dioxins go into the baby, or breastfeeding and the dioxins go into the baby. So I started thinking to myself, right, okay, so now you can't even eat like grass-fed cows. So again, I'm just like, no, like, you're being daft now. You're vegetarians and you want us to stay away from eating meat. They then go on to fish. So I'm thinking, hold on, where are you going with this? They go on to fish and they say fish contain pesticides. You get a small fish that swims along, which gets eaten by a bigger fish and eaten by a bigger fish and eaten by a bigger fish, and so on and so on and so on, until you come to buy either the tuna or the salmon or whatever, and it's full of pesticides and it's full of mercury, things that aren't necessarily good for the human body. Now, what they don't say, and I've researched this, is that the majority of like mercury and pesticides and things will actually sit in the fat under the skin. Now, if you were to go to majority of people when they get fish, I say majority, a lot of the time, certainly for myself, we'll get fillets. So the skin and the fat and the organs and everything inside isn't there no more. You're only eating the meaty part. And the majority of it, obviously not all of it, but the majority of the mercury and whatever else is actually in the fat, which is the thin layer of fat underneath the skin. So you're taking away a lot of it. Now, fair dues, you can't totally eliminate anything bad from your diet, but that's what you've got an immune system for, and that's what the fish has an immune system for. So when that eats certain things, its immune system will deal with that so it doesn't get sick and die, and that's what we have an immune system for the same reason. So yeah, so they talk about that, and I just think, like, where are you even going with this? So basically they talk about fats and how fats affect your arteries. Now, what they don't mention is the fact that your body needs certain fats just to, like, for argument's sake, you can't absorb vitamins A, D and E properly without some fat in your diet. You need fat to be able to absorb them into your body. So without any fat, you wouldn't be able to absorb vitamins A, D or E. You also use fats. Now, appreciate it that you don't want to have saturated fats or trans fats, but you do want to have your unsaturated fats, monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Okay, so your trans fats and your saturated fats can raise your cholesterol, yes, or do raise your bad cholesterol, should I say, because having high cholesterol isn't people always presume that cholesterol levels is only bad. You have good cholesterol and you have bad cholesterol. So yes, having saturated fats and trans fats, will raise your bad cholesterol. However, having unsaturated fats will maintain where your bad cholesterol's, where your good cholesterol's at, but it will actually lower your bad cholesterol. Okay, so when people are saying, oh, you shouldn't really have fat in your diet, what they should be saying is you shouldn't have certain fats in your diet and you should have more of other fats in your diets. So for argument's sake, polyunsaturated is your omega-3s and omega-6s. So with omega-3, you're getting that from your oily fish, the likes of your salmon, which we're apparently not meant to have, mackerel, again, tuna, all fish that we're not meant to eat because they contain pesticides and are really bad for us. And with your monosaturated, that's then, polyunsaturated is omega-3 and omega-6. So omega-6 you then get from some nuts, from rapeseed oil, from sunflower oil, mostly oils to be fair. And then with your monounsaturated fats, you'll then get that from the likes of olive oil, avocados, a lot of nuts, so the likes of almonds, Brazil nuts, peanuts. Okay, so that talks then about, what don't talk about is taking in good fats to kind of counteract the bad fats. So you may be raising your bad cholesterol with certain fats, but if you take in other fats, you can lower your cholesterol. Now, I'm not promoting taking in bad fats and then just kind of trying to counteract them with good fats. I'm just saying not all fats are bad and not all fats will do to you or to your body what is advertised. Okay. So to be honest with you, within reason, What the Health, I've done that a lot quicker than the other one, but with What the Health, in my opinion, they're promoting being a vegan. They do actually go on to talk about cheese as well, and how horrendous cheese is, and how it's the worst thing that you can put in the human body. And they've probably got a good enough argument for that. But my point is, there's an argument for everything. There'll be somebody who will say, yeah, that's a good reason. Yeah, there's good reasons for you to eat this. And another person will come along and say, that's the absolute worst information you could give out. You should not eat this. You should have this. There's always going to be a for and against, and there's always going to be someone who believes something to be true and somebody else who believes it not to be true. Now, the only thing I can suggest, in my opinion, is to do what I try to do, which is to stick with the guidelines. So stick with certain fish only so many times a week, because I appreciate that there are still some pesticides and there is still some mercury in fish. However, you also need, or certainly would like, omega-6 and omega-3 to do its jobs within your body. So of course, have it, just don't live off it. The same as chicken. I eat quite a bit of chicken, but I also make sure that I cut salt out elsewhere so that I'm not high in sodium. The same with beef, steak, whatever. Yeah, red meat does have saturated fats in it and can be known to clog your arteries and bring on strokes, heart attacks, etc. But in moderation, the same as with anything else, it's not bad and your body will use it. So I suppose address your diet and look at what is known across the board within reason to be healthy and what is good. Do your own little bit of research, But as long as you stick to decent guidelines, you stay away from trans fats, you stay away from saturated fats, you stay away from anything too high in sugar. When you're taking in sugar, you're taking it in with fibre, so you're taking in, for argument's sake, a full piece of fruit rather than just a fruit juice. You're looking at your carbohydrates. Now, I'm going to talk a little tiny bit about carbohydrates because people will say, I personally say, try not to eat carbohydrates too late at night. Other people will say, your body doesn't realise what time it is, so it doesn't make a difference whether you're taking your carbs in at 9 at night or at 8 in the morning. But for me, what I've always learned and what I've always thought is your body will use carbohydrates and things as energy, okay? Now, it's all well and good saying, I only have a salad at lunch and I only have this and I only have that, and then I go to the gym and then I go home and I have a big pile of mash with like whatever, mincemeat or gravy or whatever, but then your body will take in all those carbohydrates and go, right, look at all this energy coming in, we'll store this, what are we doing? And then you just sit on the couch and watch TV, so it'll get stored as fats for you to then use the next day, but the next night you do the same thing. So for me personally, I have the opinion that for somebody who's going to be training early evening or even first thing in the morning, because I tend to do fasted cardio first thing in the morning, so I'll train on empty to try and use my fat stores up. I'll do my cardio in the morning and then I'll do me resistance sessions in the evening. But for me personally, it doesn't make a difference what time it is, in the sense that your body doesn't realise the time, but it does make a difference what level of, what amount of energy and what amount of carbohydrates you're going to, and fuel you're going to need for that evening. If you're just going to be sat watching television, you're much better taking in a meal higher in protein and in fibre to help you repair from the workout you've just done, rather than taking in a load of carbohydrates which your body is going to expect to use that night and not use that night, okay? I think I'll wrap up on that.